Hello and welcome to the Independent Mechanic Podcast, Episode 2. This is going to be called Bad Mechanics, because it's something that I've wanted to talk about for quite a while, and basically I'm going to do it now. So I think there's something more to be said than just bad mechanics. There's a variety. Like, it's not just, that's a bad mechanic, well, that's a good mechanic. Not that cut and dry. There are bad mechanics that give the industry a bad name, and I have a list. Got a list of about 4 that give the industry a bad name. You got the saboteurs, the ones who will look for things to break on your car, so you have to fix them. And they are the worst. The next one, because they can actually be dangerous. The next ones are the scammers. The ones who are like, you need a new air filter. Check out this air filter. It's one I pulled out of the trash. One I pulled out of the trash? Not really. It's not actually out of your car. They don't tell you that, but they're like, look, I pulled this out of your car. Look how badly you need to change this air filter. And you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't know my air filter was that bad. Yeah, go ahead and change it. They didn't change your air filter. They just can pull the damn air filter out of the trash and they just took you for 20 bucks. Fucking awful people. You need to go to hell. The sexists. Right up there. The people who actively target women should be kicked in the nuts. And if they're women, be punched in the boobs. Because why would you take advantage of your own gender? It's giving mechanics a bad name. So anyway, that's just terrible. Like, people automatically assume that because they're a woman that they don't know as much about cars, which may or may not be true. I mean, it's the stereotype, and there's stereotypes for a reason, because commonly most women don't know. There's always people that know plenty. My wife knows enough that she's not going to get in trouble. You know, stuff like that. It's just the way the world works. The people that prey on this are the worst, and they need to be kicked in the nuts. Anyway, on to the next one, scare tactics. The people that are like, you will burst into flames if you do not do this $2,000 repair today. Your car will never run again, and you will catch into a ball of fire, and then a nuclear bomb will land on New York, and that is it. The end of the world has happened. And it's all your fault because you didn't give me your money to fix your car. Still giving us a bad name, because you don't need to scare people, you just need to explain what's wrong with their car. Explain it to them in a way that you can relate it to them in some way, that they will understand it. You have to show them, go show them. Show them, this is your car, it's up on this lift, these are your brakes. Your brake pads have that much material on them. Look at this car next to it. This is good brakes. Do you see how much? You see it's got that much brake pad on it. You need to change these brakes because they are getting dangerously close to falling out of your, your caliper holder. Had that happen before. I have gotten a car in that I took the caliper off and I'm like, the hell's the inboard pad? Because it had ground down so much it slid out of the car and somewhere on the road. And so their piston was grinding up against the rotor. Thankfully, they had it worked out fine. They didn't have to buy a whole new caliper because it had just ground the piston a little bit, and it worked out. But it's possible. So, just show people what's wrong with their car. So now here are the ones that are not awful, but they're not helping, which are the incompetent and the rough workers, the ones who don't do a good job. I mean, that's just, you find a guy who does a good job. Like, the people who, they don't know what they're talking about. They're trying to sell you something, and when you're talking to them, they're kind of talking themselves in circles, and you don't really know where the conversation's going, and you're just like, what are you trying to tell me is broken? Those are they're just bad mechanics in that regard. People who are trying to explain something they don't understand themselves is a pain in the butt. The overcharger is the next one. Somebody who wants to, like I said, it's not the worst, it's not necessarily giving us a bad name, but it's not helping the situation. The person who wants to charge you $500 because you need brakes. Which, I mean, some cars, that is the price, but for your Ford Escort, for a front brake job, probably not $500. How much are you charging me for these pads? $100 for the pad? You mean they're not like $20, maybe $40 on markup? Not great. And anyway, then the last one, which is the least problematic, but it still does kind of lend to the bad names, are the symptom fixers, and not the problem fixers. So these are the guys that let's see, your tires are wearing out. Your tires are chewed up on the inside. And they're like, you need new tires. And they go, okay, I got new tires. 6 months later, your tires are chewed up on the inside again. And you're like, I just got my tires fixed. Why did they wear out so fast? I don't know, but you need new tires. You know, well, the problem is your alignment's off. And they need to align your car so your car doesn't chew up the tires. All they're doing is throwing on tires. It's like taking cough syrup when you need to take medicine to get rid of the cold. Or, you know, something to that effect. You keep mopping up the floor because it's all wet. But you didn't fix the broken pipe. You know, stuff like that. Where they're just fixing the things that are obvious and not fixing the actual cause of the problem. So, that's my list of bad mechanics. And the way to avoid them that I've found the best is there are a couple things that happen. Where it comes to the top ones, the one that gives the industry a bad name, the scammers, the saboteurs, the sexists, and things like that, they tend to be more the people that deal in absolutes. You have to get this done. And this will definitely fix this problem. Your car is doing this and it will 100% fix it. Real techs and mechanics know that you can never, especially us who work in independent places, stuff like that, usually we see cars that are, you know, 70, 80, 150, 200,000 miles. Many instances, I have no idea what's going on with your car in the past. You might be bringing it to me for the first time with 150,000 miles. And you bring it in here because it's leaking coolant. And I'm like, let's look at this. A 2003 Volkswagen Jetta, notorious for their coolant flanges on the end of the head. They just get old, the plastic rots, they start leaking. I look at the car, I say, you need a coolant flange at the end of your head. At the end of the head, ma'am. And I'm going to fix that. This should stop the oil leaks. This is going to stop this oil leak, but I can't attest to the rest of it because the rest of it is old too. It's all plastic. It's something else can break. As soon as I fix this plastic part that's leaking, it may blow a radiator hose. It may blow a cap. A bottle. Anyway, the water pump may stop working. What possibly blew this valve? It could be that the water pumps actually stopped pumping, so I need to fix this leak, and then I need to go through and make sure that your coolant's pumping and stuff like that, because those Volkswagens were known for losing water pump impellers. And that would cause the flange at the end of the head to blow out. If that didn't happen, then it's just from old age. Anyway, so if you find a mechanic that you trust, start building that trust with them. And a quick way to do that is know your car. Know what you've had done to your car. Know that, you know, your air filters and stuff, you just changed them yourself 1,000 miles ago. And, you know, if they tell you to change them again, you just kind of don't throw them under the bus immediately. Give them a chance to crawl under the thing that they may have just stepped in. But, you know, try and build that relationship slowly, because they also need to know from you what you got going on with your car. If you bring in a used car to an independent shop and you're like, first time I've been here, I've got 150,000 miles on my Volkswagen Jetta. You know, can you guys inspect it for me and tell me what I'm going to need? You're going to get a $2,000 estimate, because something that's that old, it's going to have a lot of stuff that's going to be worn out and needs to be replaced at some point. But I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be like, this is what we would want to fix. So what can we, let's start with something that's really important, like 150,000 miles. I've never had the timing belt done. Before we do anything else, we're fixing this timing belt because it's going to break, and it can break literally any second. It could break from the time I start the car and drive it to the front parking lot. And I really, really don't want that to happen, because you just bought this car used and you want it to run. So let's start with that. We'll worry about the brakes and tires a little bit later. They're not great, but they're not going to cause your car to be a brick. And we've got to do what we've got to do. And so do you as the customer. So, you know, my basic thing is just be careful with people out there. If you don't know, if you're not sure about something, go for a second opinion from somewhere else. I mean, there's plenty of shops out there. At least in my area, there's a million shops. And, you know, get a second opinion. I know what somebody else might think. That's about the best way I could say to go about that. Because you can always tell shops not to work on your car. If somebody charges you or does work without your permission, that in of itself is a big old red flag. I think it's against the law. I think it's against the law everywhere. Not 100% sure, because I don't own the shop. I just work at the independent shop. But I know in some states you have to, like, sign a contract before they even look at your car, which may be like, I am allowed to fix stuff. Anyway. Secondary topic. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think about this, and leave things in the comments. I will, of course, discuss this on my stream when I am streaming regular auto repair, so if you would like to come back and discuss it, feel free to stop by. Twitch.tv/deamonmachine. I'm going to try and have these podcasts get done on the weekend, and then I'll release them as soon as I make them. And so these will be out pretty soon. Thank you for watching, and it's been fantastic. I hope to see you all later, so enjoy!